Good.
Good.
So, getting deeper into camp now, are there any, want to check in on the quarterback battle, is there any kind of, obviously I know you're not going to tip your hand, but any trends emerging or things you're seeing that maybe are leaning you in one way or the other with the different candidates?
No.
So it's still a very robust.
Yeah, we got time. We got
battle.
2 weeks before the first game, so we're right on track to where we want to be. And those guys are doing a great job with reps and taking advantage of the opportunities that they have. And they know they're just out here competing and playing, and it'll take care of itself. But right now we're in really good shape. We got a block of 4 and another block of 4 coming up, and then we got game week. So we're right where we need to be right now.
I don't know how much you've looked at the weather reports lately, but Sunday obviously.
Sunday afternoon, yeah.
Are there any contingency plans in case?
Yeah, we practice Sunday morning and we're off on Monday. See, when we made this schedule in April, we knew that Monday the storm was going to hit. So we've had this all planned out perfectly. So when Hurricane Hillary comes rolling through on Monday, it was an already scheduled off day for us. So we're good to go right now. And obviously, I'm joking, but right now I think it matches with what we are. But we'll see. And if we have to make consecutive, if it's rain, it's rain. But the only thing you can't practice in is lightning. So
I was gonna say, Coach, with inclement weather, I know, is that going to be kind of a benefit actually? Like, I mean, I don't know. In Arizona, they have those monsoons sometimes, or maybe in Utah, there's some wind. But you're going
to have to handle adversity at some point in time, especially on the road. Very rarely do you get it here in Southern California, but there's times where you're going to have to play. Play up in Oregon this year. And you never know what the weather's going to be like up there. So. If it rains, we practice. I mean, that's not an issue. The only issue that ever occurs when it comes from a weather standpoint here would be lightning. So you'd have to be concerned with that because we're not going to practice in lightning.
Clock rules changing this year with the first down clock running. How much extra, time have you spent on the practice field training guys on that?
Yeah, we don't train them at all on that. All we have to do as a coaching staff is just know you're probably going to get less snaps in a game, but the mechanics of the game still work the same. So, it wasn't like we taught them, hey, take your time in before the last 2 minutes because you have more time. It's we still have a tempo and a pace that we feel like we play really well at. What our regular tempo is, we're going to try to stay on track for that. The fact that the clock is going to be running a little bit more, what I think the byproduct is going to be, I think there's just going to be less snaps in a game. I don't know what that number is going to be. I think the average is somewhere in the middle 70s. So if you're at 73, 74, do those snaps go down to 68, 67? Not exactly sure how that's going to work itself out, but it really doesn't affect the pace and tempo of what the game is like in the nonstop clock things. In the last 2 minutes of the first half and the last 2 minutes of the game, it's going to change.
Does it change anything for you as a play caller in terms of tactics or anything on the menu of options?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think you're just aware of it, and I just think you got to know going in, maybe you're going to get less snaps. So if you had planned on going into the game and saying, hey, we're going to have, we have it kind of just based on the last 5 years of data of how many third and shorts you're going to have in a game, how many third and mediums you're going to have in a game, how many third and longs, how many third and extra longs. There may be one less in that category. But I still think we'll game plan, for what the old clock situation is, to carry one extra play in all of those situations. I don't think is a detrimental thing. So.
In the NIL space, a lot of teams are coming up with some beverages, some beer beverages. Would you be in favor of something like a Bruin Brewski, a Fours Up Firewater, something like that?
I think those are all great things, but I think people have to understand from an NIL space, we're not allowed to. So us brewing beer in there and selling beer is not an option. But I think people are being very creative in that space in terms of how they can raise money to give more opportunities for the student athletes, and I'm all for that.
Did you like my names? Did you like the nicknames?
I do like those. What was it?
Bruin Brewskis and Fours Up Firewater.
Fours Up Firewater scares me a little bit because I don't know exactly what's in there, but a nice Bruin Brewski wouldn't be bad. So.
Ty Lee been, I think, working with the linebackers and individuals at least. Where do you see him fitting in early?
It's a great question. I'm not sure. I know that Ty Lee has shown up in this preseason. He's got a unique skill set. I think he has the ability. He played safety in high school and was a really good safety. There's some size things that we think he's going to continue to grow. He's a little bit kind of like where Kane Madrano was coming in. So we think he's going to be a big kid. So, and when you look at the more people have spread offenses, to really have those athletic linebackers on the field, and we feel like we have a few right now, We think that's where he may eventually end up, but that doesn't mean he can't play some safety now. So he's kind of doing both in terms of what Dan and Coach Norwood and Coach Norton are looking at him as. But he's one guy as a young freshman, true freshman in this class right now that has kind of stood out on the defensive side of the ball.
And this is kind of what Kenny was doing last year. Kenny Churchwell, right? He was kind of crossing.
A little bit, yeah. Kenny did both. Kenny played some of our field Sam linebacker in our base defense, and then played safety in our nickel defenses. So they're probably a similar skill set. If I can think back of what Kenny looked like when he was a freshman, probably similar to that. Yeah.
How are things looking with the kick return, punt return game?
That is a tough position to evaluate in preseason camp because you're really never going live in kickoff and punt returns. It's a matter of how comfortable, and I think Deshaun does a great job with the returners, but how comfortable they are fielding it, and then their vision and seeing it as we try to implement our blocking schemes in terms of what we're trying to do. We've got some guys that have done it before, but you lost Kaz, and Kaz was obviously a really good weapon back there. So trying to fill that in, again, these next 2 weeks I think are critical for that. But it's always one of those positions until you really get into the first game. It's probably going to be really your first real live reps at it, because it hasn't been something that we've done as a live period in camp.
Are you still anticipating Keegan doing some stuff in the running back room?
Keegan practices at running back every day, so Keegan can do. The thing for Keegan is just the more versatile he can be, similar to Kaz. You look at some of Kaz's biggest plays last year were runs. He took the outside zone against Stanford for 60 or 70. He had over 100 yards when we played against Arizona State. So the thing with Keegan being here long enough is that he can play a couple different roles. So where can he work at it? But if you watch him during the course of practice, he'll do individuals with the running backs, he'll do individuals with the receivers, and he's just kind of going back and forth. And Deshaun and Jerry do a really good job of managing that for him. But I really believe he can play both positions for us.
I saw J.J. Molson here the other day.
I saw J.J. J.J., that's the great part about here being at UCLA. There's always so many former players that come back to work out, and other guys that didn't go to school here that come here to work out. So, but JJ's been here a ton, looking for an opportunity. I think he was talking about XFL, USFL, if nothing pops during the NFL season now. So
he could help you with the NIL beer with the Molsons, right?
You are. Notepad out here. Let's see. Yeah, we have a very. What did you call it? Bruin Brewski?
Bruin Brewskis and Fours Up Firewater.
You got to spell it the right way. Brewin.
Brewin.
Bruin Brewski.
Bruin. Okay. And how do you guys want to spell Brewski? Are we gonna elaborate on the Brewski?
Brewski.
EWSKI.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted. JJ. That's a good talk. Get him on something. Give him something to do. He trains here every day, so he's got to have a little few hours after the training period. So I like it.
Have you ever had a Molson?
I've had a Molson before,
Okay.
but not in a long time. But yeah,
It's quality beer.
it is quality beer. That's good stuff. We got a lot accomplished today. We got anything else?
We're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Coach.